Hey guys, welcome to the Bourboneering podcast quarantine edition. I'm your host Austin. Let's get started. So today, obviously it's an extra episode. I'm not releasing on my normal Wednesday or Friday. I'm here discussing whiskey with a guy who's kind of new to it. Another guy in college. I thought it'd be fun since we're all cooped up at home, trying to stay safe and stay healthy. I decided to release a couple extra episodes just for fun. Maybe help somebody kill some time. It's definitely helping me kill some time. Let me know if you enjoy it. Anyway, here's the interview. All right, y'all. I'm here with my buddy Chandler. We are drinking some Long Branch and discussing some whiskey. So Chandler, how about you introduce yourself here?
How y'all doing? I'm Chandler. I'm relatively new to whiskey. Austin's going to help me out, kind of get my feet wet. Today we're drinking Wild Turkey Long Branch. So far, I like it a lot. I'm getting a lot of good notes just off the nose. But anyway, yeah, we're going to discuss that.
Yeah, so Chandler's been with us here in my house while we're keeping our social distancing, our quarantine, if you will. I hope everyone out there is staying safe. We're trying to do our part to help out and everything. So I thought, we'd talk about this whiskey it's kind of a, loose fit episode, just kind of discussing. It'd probably be an extra episode just to maybe entertain you if you're sitting at home, bored, doing nothing. Mm-hmm. So like you said, we're drinking Wild Turkey Long Branch. This is a Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey. It's oak and Texas mesquite charcoal refined. So this is Matthew McConaughey worked with Eddie Russell, the master distiller at Wild Turkey, to kind of come up with this bourbon. I'm pretty sure it's a regular bourbon that's just been charcoal filtered with the oak and Texas mesquite. But unlike a lot of celebrity whiskeys, McConaughey actually had a hand in this tasting and picking stuff.
Right. It's definitely smooth. I'm a fan of Wild Turkey in general, but this is my first time trying this.
Yeah, 101 is one of my favorite budget bourbons.
It's really good. It's definitely oaky. Definitely oaky,
and it's lighter. I guess it's from the charcoal filtering. It's lighter than your normal bourbon. I've reviewed this on the show before, so if you're curious for an in-depth review, go check that out. But yeah, I mean, for a newbie, it's really easy. It's only 42% alcohol, so
right.
Real
for
close
us lightweights,
the minimum. Yeah. We, as y'all know, I've had Barrett on the show before when it was still bourbon in college, and he, that kid is a lightweight.
And Barrett, if you're listening, we're not sorry.
Barrett's actually in another room, so he's probably listening live.
What?
Yeah, that show, we went off the deep end a little bit.
Right, I'm sure.
But, so, what's your experience with whiskey? You said you're kind of new to it.
Well, it's basically very limited. I'm at the point now where I'm starting to be able to taste the differences between a higher end whiskey and your low end bottom shelf kind of stuff. Because when you're young and first getting into liquor, nicer liquor, everything you're doing, you're mixing it with Coke, and it's just not really what it's meant for. But I'm starting to get to where I can taste the different notes and appreciate the different qualities, not just your standard, Jack Daniel's, Jim Beam, Fireball kind of guy.
So, a little background. Chandler he's my age. He's in college. We both go to LSU. So he's about the same level as me in his whiskey journey. I started a little before him, so I'm kind of, moving forward a little bit, but he's getting there. I used to take all the bottles I didn't like, all the cheaper bottles, and sell them to him at a discount.
Spent way too much money on used whiskey.
Used whiskey. But yeah, no, that's I'm glad to get somebody new into the whiskey world.
Yeah,
kind of jumping in.
It's kind of intimidating at first. There's so many different whiskeys and different types and all this, different distillers. Well, if you break it down, it's just a hobby, and
expensive one of that.
Yeah, seriously, you can get really into it, and I'm starting to get into it. This is very good though. I'm enjoying this.
Yeah, it's nice. It's not too challenging really, but yeah, I mean, even trying to get into whiskey for me, the hardest part was, I mean, it's hard alcohol. It's at minimum 40% alcohol.
Right.
It's not something you can just grab and chug like a beer. Even if you get a higher proof beer, getting the 8%, you can still.
It does more of a toll.
You can still down it pretty well.
Right.
This is dangerous. I was telling earlier, if you stick your nose in too far and take a big old sniff, you could pass out.
Yeah, it's like I said, at first I was intimidated by the whole process, knowing the different, but I'm kind of into, different varieties of whiskey now, so it's very, I've broadened my horizons a lot. I've found recently that I'm really into rye whiskey.
Oh,
wow. But I didn't really prefer it beforehand. But then again, my knowledge of whiskey was anything under $20, and I could get it at Walmart.
So this, if it is the normal mash bill wild turkey, it is pretty high rye. So it's a bourbon.
Right.
So it's at least 51% corn.
Right.
But the next highest grain in there is going to be rye. And a lot of bourbons are like that. Some have more rye than others. But then you got bourbons like Maker's Mark and Weller that are wheated. So they replace the rye completely with wheat. And they tend to be sweeter, where high rye bourbons tend to be more spicy. Mm-hmm. And that's not because wheat is sweet, but it's because corn is sweet, and there's not that rye there to cover it up.
Right. Well, it seems lighter.
Yeah, it definitely is. So I would compare it to like a Jack Daniels, if you pour Jack Daniels out. Right. Because, I mean, I'm assuming here, but it's because of the charcoal the charcoal filtering. Mm-hmm. And that kind of takes now I don't know what part of the process they do that before aging or not, but even if you do it before aging, it kind of takes away some of the color, and some people say it takes away the character of the bourbon.
Right.
Because Jack Daniels is a Tennessee whiskey.
Right.
But it could be considered, they can label it as bourbon if they wanted to. But Tennessee whiskey has a separate, kind of a more strict rule, and it's everything that bourbon has to follow, but you have to go through the Lincoln County process, which is charcoal filtering with a certain type of wood I always draw a blank on the type of wood, but they make a charcoal out of that certain type of wood, and they have to run the whiskey through it.
Right. So what price range does this Long Branch fall into?
This Long Branch, I believe I got it for around 30 or 40 something.
30 or 40.
So
kind of the middle of the road.
Yeah. As far as whiskey goes, it's not too high.
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of my sweet spot right now, because I feel like I'm not versed enough quite yet to pull the trigger on a very expensive $100 bottle of whiskey, but just because I don't know if I would appreciate it as much yet.
Right.
But as far as it goes, this is one of the better ones I've had. It's smooth, it's enjoyable, it's not harsh on the throat or tongue. It's kind of like, I don't know, it's very enjoyable.
Yeah, and it's a lot of, I mean, you said you like Jack Daniel. Mm-hmm. That's similar with the charcoal filtering.
Right.
It mellows it out. And so smooth is kind of a controversial word because no one really knows what it means. When I say it, I mean you're not getting the alcohol spikiness. You can drink it easily, and I definitely get that out of this one.
Right.
It's funny that you say that because I know exactly what you mean when you say it too. But it's just getting different people's opinions on different things. Some people can jump right into the high proof, barrel proof, or some people jump into the smoky scotches and things like that.
Right.
Which I love. I could get into that pretty quickly, but a lot of people are definitely turned off by that.
Right. I think what really was the turning point for me with a lot of whiskey is understanding that it's not just a process, it's really a craft. Mm-hmm. So a lot of these distilleries have very unique processes and the way they do it. They can have very similar ingredients across the board, but depending on how they distill it, you could come out with a product that's completely different, completely unique. And I like that. Kind of, if you have a certain price range in mind, you can still find 100 different whiskeys that fit your style, and it's very universal, and so I'm enjoying it a lot.
And what's crazy, and it really goes to show, like the big distillers like Jim Beam and Jack Daniels, you can make it a whiskey the exact same way in the exact same factory, and put them in at the same time, and put them in 2 separate barrels, and put those barrels in the same warehouse right next to each other, and taste each one, and they can be completely different.
Right.
And the fact that when you go and buy Jack Daniels, you know you're getting the same product is a bunch of blending. Experts, tasting experts, go in and blend the barrels to make sure you get Jack Daniels out of that.
Right.
That's where you can get a single barrel and it's complete.
Right.
Tastes completely different.
Right.
And it's crazy how you can get such accuracy, yet 2 barrels right next to each other that are made on the same day can be completely different.
Right.
Flavors. And it's, like you said, you can really nerd out on it if you wanted to.
There are definitely some nerds.
Yeah.
Austin's one of them.
Yep, that's me. All right, y'all. We've been rambling a little long. We'll let you go this time. I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know. I might do a couple more bonus episodes to help y'all pass the time. Thanks for listening. We'll see y'all next time.